today's presentation is about how to make social media work for you. If you were here for the last one, we're kind of springboarding off of that, from the 30,000 foot up bird's eye view on things down to the tangible nitty-gritty of things. So this is how you stop chasing leads and instead attract them, how to find out what your audience wants, how to give it to them so that they beg you to work with them. Last time what we covered was the 3 secrets to social media. So the first one was go where the attention is, which is online. People aren't paying attention to the traditional media outlets like TV, radio, newspapers, that kind of thing. So we need to be online. The second one that we covered was how to create media that was social, something that was shareable, something that was usable by the people that you're trying to work with. And then the last one was that old school still works, taking that idea of the sales funnel and turning it into an online process that allows you to qualify your leads, creating multiple opportunities for touch points and that kind of thing. This time, here's what we're going to cover. A deeper dive into what social media is and how it kind of correlates to the other platforms that I mentioned. And then from there, we're going to get right into it. We're going to look at how we work with you to help you identify your niche, how you can map out your client's path and use that to create the content that you need to create. You can do the research for the audience that you're trying to reach so you know what they're looking for. You can meet them where they are. And then we're going to figure out how to create endless high-value content so that you can generate traffic to your website and then convert that traffic on your website into leads and then turn those leads into deals. So first, we're going to start with what social media is. Social media is in the business of selling attention. Just like radios, newspapers, TV, they all follow the unwritten rule. We like to go to these platforms to consume the contents there, and every once in a while we're going to be interrupted with advertising, and so long as the content is good, we don't mind being interrupted by the marketing that's being put in front of us. So that's kind of the general principle. But when we take that online, what we find is that these platforms are made up of 3 different crowds of people. First crowd of people is the consumers. These are the regular everyday people. You go on there to get distracted, you're bored, you need something to keep you occupied, you're scrolling. Second group of people are the creators. These are the people who got good at getting and keeping people's attention. This is why you go there, because usually there's something funny or interesting to read or interact with or watch. And then finally, we have the third group of people, the evil capitalists. These are the group of people that are buying the information and then selling you stuff on the other side. So basically, what they are trying to do is just skip the line and then pay for that attention. So they can pay for a little bit of consideration by putting an ad on that platform. And while you're scrolling, if you see that ad and it catches your attention, you'll participate in whatever that ad is offering. If not, you just scroll right on by and keep doing what you're doing on the platform. In between the creators and the capitalists, there's a way to catch people's attention in a meaningful way, build rapport with them, and then inspire them to take action without looking like the sleazy salespeople and without having to pander to the crowd and do the dancing videos and all that kind of stuff. So there is a happy medium that exists between both of these places. So to get there, we have to know who we're helping and what we're helping them with. These are the 2 important questions that we ask. To start with, to go into your avatar, here's the key things that we should use to identify who it is that we're helping, right? I get that I help people buy houses or I help people sell houses, but being general isn't going to be enough to catch somebody's attention. People need to know that you can help them and their unique situation. Everybody feels like their situation is different. It might not be because you can see it from the other side, but they need to feel like that's the case in order for them to want to work with you or be interested in working with you. So we break this down into demographics, which is the typical stuff: age range, gender, location, income bracket. Then we move into social identity. These are the group affiliations, the people that we like to spend our time with. What platforms do we like to be on? What forums are we participated in? Maybe the experts that we follow. That kind of is a good indicator of the type of person that we are. Our activities, interests, relationship status, all that matters for our social identity. Then finally, this is where we go a little bit deeper. This is where we get inside the minds of the people that we're trying to work with. We look at their dreams and their desires. We look at their goals, their pain points, their fears, and the things that we value so that we can speak to those things and connect to them, not just from that, like, hey, I'm a realtor, I do this thing, but we're connecting with them now on a more personal and emotional level. The next thing that we need to figure out is what you're helping them with. And again, I get that we help people buy or sell houses, but we got to go a lot deeper because they need to feel like we can take care of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to break your process, your individual process down into 3 main phases. These 3 main phases are the beginning of the journey, the middle of the journey, and the end of the journey. And this is going to be the vehicle that you communicate with your clients through to help deliver them from point A to point B. So with these 3 phases, we're going to go another step deeper. We're going to figure out what the 3 steps are for each one of these phases. So we're slowly carving out what your signature solution is, the way that you specifically help people. This is all going to make sense in a second. We're going to take it one more step. And we're going to talk about the problems, the solutions, and the transformations that exist in each one of these steps. So this is going to give us the ammo that we need to be able to create the content that's going to meet our clients or our prospects where they are in their journey. Some people are going to be here. Some people are going to be here. And it's difficult to know that unless you initially get them to indicate where they are in this whole journey. So an example of what this would look like, let's say phase one, let's say you work with first-time home buyers. Phase one, step one is to figure out what their credit situation would look like, if they can even qualify for a mortgage. So the problem is they don't know whether or not they qualify. The solution would be to work with professional, vetted people who know how to help these people. And then the transformation is that they know that they are or they know that they're not, but they're confident to be able to move forward and take the action that they need to take. So they either need to do a little bit more credit building, or they're ready and we know what kind of a number that we're working with and we can move them into the next step. And so this is how we're going to map out your signature solution and how you're going to communicate with your avatar that we already kind of figured out. With all of that stuff, we're going to take that and we're going to do a little bit of research on the audience so that we know what they're talking about, what kind of questions that they're asking, how are we going to meet them where they are. If you've been in the business for a long time, you kind of have a good idea of what some of these questions are, so you'll have a really great place to springboard off of. But if we take, let's say again, we go back to that figuring out your credit situation in that step one, phase one problem, we take that and we go to answerthepublic.com as an example. It's a really great resource. If you put that question in or that topic into the search bar, what it's going to do is going to give you this big mind web of all of the things that people are talking about online as it relates to that specific problem and solution. From there, we're going to gather a couple of really good high-level questions that we know we can answer, and then we're going to bring them over to Google Search. And in Google Search, if you type something in, it's going to give you a whole bunch of results, but it's also going to give you this little section that says people also ask. And so you're going to get a few questions there that are related to that. So now we're kind of getting into the minds of the people that are asking these specific questions. We take those questions now and we bring them into the keyword planner, and we're going to identify which keywords are underserved but have a high enough search volume that it would make sense for us to spend a little bit of time writing or creating some kind of piece of content around that topic as it relates to that signature solution, so that we can bring people in where they're at in their journey and then nurture them the way that they need to be nurtured. The magic of this is knowing what questions they have, because when you answer those questions and they search for that question, guess who shows up there?
Right.
It's whatever you've created, right? So this is where the real magic starts to happen. So now we're going to use a viral content formula. This has been tried and tested across all of the different creators. So it starts with making a hook, making a really big promise, a bold headline, something that's going to catch somebody's attention. You only got 1 or 2 seconds to do that. So if you do it well, then you have their attention. To keep that attention, we have to retain it by getting to the point as quickly as possible. People don't want the fluff. There's this ongoing joke right now about if you look up a recipe online, you have to go through 17 paragraphs of somebody's life story about their Nana and how this banana bread came to exist, rather than just getting the recipe. And so this is why the bounce rate for these types of articles or these types of content is so high, because people aren't finding what they're looking for, and they can just as easily go back to Google and then find that information again. So we got to keep their attention. And once we keep their attention to the end, we reward them for sticking around. And this is where we get them to give us their information. We reward them with something related to what they were searching for. Is anybody familiar with the term lead magnet? I don't want to gloss over it if we're not. Okay, lead magnet is basically, as it states, it's a magnet that attracts somebody in to want to give their information to you. It's something of value that people would be willing to trade their email, phone number, or name for to be able to get that thing. So it has to be high enough value that it's actually going to serve them on their journey, but just enough that it's going to make them want to work with you. So once we have a lead magnet, we'll go back to that first example of phase one, step one. The problem is that they don't know what their credit looks like. So what we could do is we could create a checklist of things that they could do to help figure out their credit. And I get that we're not the mortgage guys, but we could also add in a couple of our mortgage guys into this framework, and then we package that in a nice little PDF. It doesn't have to be super fancy, high-level production or any of that stuff. It can literally just be a list, a PDF, a checklist or something, a spreadsheet. Whatever it is, it's got to be useful enough that they're going to want it. Now with that lead magnet, that can inspire the content now. We take that and maybe we write an article about it. We write, 500 words, 250 words a minute is kind of our reading or speaking rate. And so 500 words is a couple of minutes for people to read. It's a very easy thing that you can create that isn't going to take a lot of time. You can also take that same thing and turn it into a short video. You just take the point forms from that article that you wrote, turn it into a video. Again, it doesn't have to be high level, super produced. You don't need $1 million studio to make this happen. Pull out your phone, say the things that you need to say, and then get off. It doesn't need to be any more than that. In fact, ugly videos sell better than those highly produced ones. And the reason is because we know that it's advertising when we see that high level. So if it's real and it's genuine and you're interacting with people on that video, it's going to work much more effectively. So out of those two, those are kind of the two high level ones. But then we can also do this third one, which is we can create some infographics or little things using the platform I'm using right now is Canva. You can do it in Photoshop or Illustrator or wherever else you're comfortable making things, but you turn it into some infographic or some kind of graphic that you can share on social media. So now, when you publish this, or you publish this, or you publish this, you share that all over the internet, and people are going to see this who are in that niche, that type of people, and they're going to engage with it in some way. And so that's what we're going to do to generate traffic. So to some degree, because we wrote a really good article, it's already keyword optimized, right? We did all that work already. You're going to get some traffic from Google search and search engine optimization. We're sharing it all over social media. So we're also going to get the traffic that comes from that, from our own sphere of influence to the broader network of people if we do a little bit of advertising and that kind of stuff. There's a couple other options here, guest writing and syndications. If you have an article that you've written, you can also share it with another blog who will publish that on your behalf, or you can ask for backlinks if it's a related topic. Community groups, this is a really valuable one. I'll tell you what I've been doing. I'm a part of a couple of real estate agent groups. And what I do is I'll go in there, and maybe it's like a referral network, right? So some agent in Texas trying to get somebody in San Jose or something like that, and so they talk, right? But every once in a while, somebody will come into that group and they'll ask a question that I can answer. And so I'll take a couple of minutes and I'll write a little blurb about that question. It's usually about lead gen. That's my area. So I'll give a little bit of a hint or tip or something like that about lead gen as it relates to their question. And then I'll do a little call to action at the bottom of that comment. And I'll say, hey, by the way, I got a free book. You can just go grab it over here. It talks about all this kind of stuff. It's got frameworks and strategies and everything that you need in it. Go grab that and it'll help you along the way. So the beauty of this and the magic that happens here is that it's not just the person that asked that question. It's the other 300, 400 people that saw that post that also have that question that see my answer. And so what's happening is that group of people are now clicking on that link and going over to my website. So I get about 100 to 150 clicks a day, doing about a half hour's work, putting my stuff into these groups. And from that, I get about 15 to 20 leads out of that 100 people that are getting the book and interested in marketing and that kind of thing. So I'm able to now talk to them and have conversations with them. I can get on the phone and see where they're at. If I can help them, I can help them. If I can't, I can point them in the right direction. So that's a lot of really, really powerful stuff right there. And then finally, paid advertising. Again, we touched on that last time. If you spend $100 and put that article in front of people, you're going to build an audience of marketing qualified leads. These are people who are expressing interest because they're paying attention to the content that you're putting out there. With this traffic, we're going to turn that into leads. So I just kind of covered this. The people who have these problems that are in your signature solution are going to want this content. They're going to engage with it. They're going to come grab that lead magnet if they're really serious. Those are the ones that are kind of raising their hand and they're saying that we're sales qualified leads. So we took the audience of marketing qualified leads, turned them into sales qualified leads. Now we can actually talk to them. Now we can actually work with them. And I'm going to just contrast this real quick. I'm going off book here for this one. If you were to work with a lead agency where you're going to buy leads from a company, what they're doing is they're putting up a dummy page with an IDX integration. This basically, they take the MLS and embed it into the website with a search function, and you can save properties and that kind of thing. Now, if somebody goes to that website, they get a pop-up that says like, hey, do you want a property alert related to these properties? And some people say yes. And so they'll put their name and email in that, and then that gets treated as a lead that gets sold back to you. So it's unbranded. They don't know that they're getting this, they're getting dumped into a funnel. They don't know that their information is getting sold. So that when you call them, half of them give you fake information and the other half don't even want to have a conversation with you to begin with. They were just looking at properties, right? They're still curious. They're not qualified to have that conversation. This is why it takes 4 to 9 months to close those leads. And I've talked to these guys. It's about a 1 to 3% conversion rate on all the leads that you get. So you're paying $100 a lead, and only 1 to 3 of them convert. And that's if you're a rock star agent. So contrast that with a system that actually gets people to know you, like you, trust you, want to work with you. That makes them way more qualified. And plus, on the other side of this, you're building your personal brand. You're building that notoriety. You're getting that pseudo celebrity, that, say, that guy that plastered his face all over the billboards in Calgary there for that one season. I think we all know who I'm talking about. That pseudo celebrity, I don't think he has to worry about where his leads are coming from. Everybody knows who he is now, right? So once we are gathering up all of those leads and we have people that are in our gravity now and we're working with them, what we want to do is we want to warm them up. We want to continue to serve them, continue to deliver value to them, and help nurture them across that signature solution. So every time you create a new lead magnet, you create a new article, you create a new video, that doubles as your newsletter. That doubles as that email campaign that you continue to send to people depending on where they're at in their journey. They're getting tagged, with your CRM and all that kind of stuff of where they come in, where they're coming from, what their interests are, why they're there, and all that kind of stuff. So you'll be able to sort them into the proper buckets and give them the content that they actually need to want to work with you. And then we take those leads and we turn them into deals by actually getting on the phone with them or getting in touch with them, creating opportunities for us to get to know them, ask them questions, and then build rapport with them. One system that we use for us that works really well is using a binary options sales system. So essentially what this looks like is you create a question that only has two options. And this is all in an effort now that you map this out so that at the bottom, when we get to the end of it and you know everything you need to know, you've sorted people into one of two buckets. One is that they're not ready, they don't want to talk to you, they don't need to work with you yet, they need to be nurtured. We can put them back in the system and allow our system to continue to nurture them. On the other side of it, if they're ready to take action now, we know because we've asked them all of the pre-qualifying questions to get them there. So that might look like something like this. Have you used a realtor before? That's option one. Or is this your first time selling? That's option two. So if they say yes, we're going to take them down this path. Okay, was it a good experience or did things not go according to plan? So these two different questions are going to give us more information. They're going to give us either A, it was good, and they're going to tell us why, or they're going to give us B, it was bad, and they're going to tell us why. This is going to arm us with the information that we need to be able to sell them on working with us when the time comes. So having a binary question map will help kind of simplify that process and make it a little bit more systematic and repeatable for you so that it makes it less time consuming to work with the leads. So that's kind of how the whole social media marketing system works. We can help. We have two options depending on your situation. First one is we can do this for you. Basically, let's get on a call. We can talk about what it looks like, what your budget is, and how we can kind of help install some of these systems into the business that you guys are running. And if that's not the situation that you want to figure out how to do it yourself so that you can kind of hire your own people or make sure that you have control over the brand and the messaging and that kind of thing. We are launching an 8-week coaching program. And what we're going to do is we're going to walk you through this whole process. Every week we're going to get on a call. I'm going to teach you exactly how to take action on the first of the 8 steps that I talked about. And it'll give you an opportunity to ask questions. Then you got ongoing email and text message support where if you're doing this stuff and you need a little bit of help, we can get on the phone and kind of help guide that process.